Hi, this question is designed tic-tac-toe. Given a biometric, so the board is going to be, like this size of, from 2 to 100, right? So it doesn't matter if 3 by 3 or 4 by 4. So the way of winning the tic-tac-toe is you have row, you have column, and then you have diagonal. Diagonal, yeah. You can represent 2. So there are a total of 8, right? So I'm going to um, create a row array, row column, and for diagonal is actually just using the integer to represent. So it's going to be diagonal and anti-diagonal. Uh, doesn't matter which one you want to reference. And for this one, so if if this if this row is going to be the same person, imagine it's 3. So this 3 by 3 metric. If this is all filled up by the same player, the size of the row is going to be 3, right? So I would say row at 0. I will increment the count, right? So I row at 0, it would end up with 3. So if 3 is equal to the size of the board, which means the winner. So that would be straightforward, right? And the same as diagonal. And then, you know, the diagonal, how you define? If this is 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2. Oh, if this is another direction, going to be n minus 1 minus rule. So n right here, minus n minus 1 right here, minus rule. So this will represent rule 0, last column. Second rule, second last, and then the last rule, first column. So n minus 1 minus rule. It determine how you how you move. So for each move, this represent row, this represent column, and this represent player. So I'm going to say player 1 represent 1, player 2 represent -1. So when I do the increment and decrement, it's going to be the same. So, all right. So I will have integer row columns, and then I will say in diagonal and then anti diagonal, and I will have n. So list n equal to n, and row equal to new in n, column equal to new in n. So when I say how you know it's going to be the, so when I say player 1 represent 1, player 2 represent -1, and how does player 2 knows they are winning? You can absolute the current index, right? So that's why when you absolute and it's equal to n, then it's a winner. So I'm technically determine whether or not the current player is 1 or -1. If this is 1, just 1, else -1. And I will say rules at not using the same name. Rows at row is plus equal user, then it's column. So this will just increment by 1 or decrement by 1, and then diagonal if they are the same. So this will represent a positive diagonal, right? So this is positive diagonal. And then for the negative diagonal, it's going to be column equal to columns minus row minus 1. And if they are equal, anti-diagonal plus plus. When I say plus plus, actually plus equal to user. All right. So yeah, this is a trick. So if you don't know the anti-diagonal, yeah. And then what you need to do is just basically absolute uh the rows at rows. If this is equal to n, Gonna be the same. Columns. Column. And then it's diagonal. And then anti-diagonal. If they are equal to the end, just return a player. It's not return a negative one or positive one, but return a player. And if no one wins, just return 0, right? No one winner is return 0. Columns. Yep. Cool. So time and space for the move, the time is actually constant. Space is going to be all of n, right? And that will be the solution.